And welcome back to the show. Remember, you can catch my column every other Friday in the Hartford Courant and CTNow.com. Dom, you reading the column now? I'm back every other Friday. You even aware of that?
Oh, I'm very aware of that.
Are you aware of that?
Absolutely.
Well, we're trying to get the word out. I guess
I'll
get it out on your blog.
I'll tweet it.
Tweet it. So back to UConn basketball with the Connecticut Sports Writer of the Year. So we talked about Andre Drummond, right, his impact. Jeremy Lamb, another kid who, you know, the insiders feels too early, but money's talking. Your assessment on Mr. Lamb, the Iceman, right?
Well, you know, same thing. He almost felt like he, after 2 years, he had to go, because the way, you know, if, you know, the draft is really based on projectability. What do you think this guy's going to be? Right. What is he going to become? And the longer you stay in college, the longer it becomes a case where the scouts are saying, well, he's not going to get any better. This is who he is.
It's not seen the warts, right? It's not seen the warts, yeah.
So, you know, Jeremy, if he'd stayed another year and he had another year that was maybe disappointing, then, well, maybe he doesn't have the potential that you still see in him now. So it was really a good time for him to go after 2 years. And, you know, he's got some things to work on in his game. But, you know, when you look at just his skills, you know, it'd be interesting to see what he looks like surrounded by an NBA starting five, where teams can't really key on him the way opponents of UConn were able to do last year.
But from a developmental standpoint, even though you articulated that the reality, the money is there on the table.
You know, the money's there, and let's face it, whether you're ready or not, and, you know, we can all see Andre Drummond's not ready to play in the NBA.
Right.
He's not ready to play in the Big East.
Right.
But that's the problem of the team that drafts you. Let them worry about that. You've got to go, and then they develop you their own way.
And to that degree, the NBA has changed to a large degree now, where it's more, it has to deal more with developing players rather than having guys who are ready for the pros.
Right, and you have the D League, the developmental league, and just this past week, UConn player Jerome Dyson was called up, and after spending a couple of years in there, learning another position, adding some versatility to his game. So, you know, you may see Drummond in the D League at some point.
But I mean, he played 4 years, though, right?
He did.
So it's.
But again, it gives an out. You know, the NBA is, you know, because there's so few players on a team. You know, the draft isn't 6 rounds, 7 rounds. You know, and guys drafted in the second round might be very good players. Just takes them a little time.
Right. Patience. Yeah. Let's talk about Alex Oriaki. Now, right, here's a guy who I think clearly had pro potential, but clearly had some problems with Jim Calhoun. What was behind the scenes? What was the real deal with that? Here's a guy who helped him win a championship. Yeah. Some felt to a large degree Calhoun was too hard on him, and he kind of left in the hole. What was the real deal? Why there was friction there?
Well, you know, I mean, if you're going to come and play for Jim Calhoun and you play for 2 years, I mean, I think you kind of know what you're getting into. I don't know that that's anything that should have been a surprise. But the real thing was, you know, Drummond's arrival, which was late in the game, August 26th. You know, then that created a kind of a chain reaction where now Alex has moved off the center position to more of the power forward position. And on paper, you thought that the two of those guys in the lineup together,
that would be his position in the NBA, right?
Absolutely.
He goes to the NBA, right?
But it just didn't work out. For whatever reason, he didn't take to that position. And I really think that whatever the issue was, he kind of lost an opportunity. He missed an opportunity to learn the position that he's probably going to have to play in the NBA.
Was Calhoun too impatient with him, considering what he did to help him win the championship?
Well, you know, I mean, there's always the talk about the quick hook, taking a guy out after 50 seconds, taking a guy out after one mistake. But again, that's what Jim Calhoun does. He's been successful with it in the past, and you know it's coming. So, you know, but you know, there are issues there, too. You know, Alex's father, all you have to do is look at our website and our blog. He's a loose cannon.
Yeah, what happened there? The father didn't have great things to say about Calhoun. Obviously, the father wanted more playing time, thought his son was being disrespected.
Right. And you know what? It's perfectly natural for a father to stick up for his son.
Not the first time this happened, right? Whether the parent being upset about playing time.
You know, Alex is 22, and at some point you have to kind of let it go on his own 2 feet, because certainly, you know, that's not going to rub anybody the right way at Missouri, and it certainly wouldn't rub anybody the right way in the NBA. So there comes a point where Alex kind of has to speak for himself.
So how do you rebound next year now? And let's talk about first Jim Calhoun, off season, your first year covering the team. From a body language standpoint, what do you see from a coach who went through a lot of issues last year, including his health? How does he look? What is he doing? Have you had a chance to talk to him in the off season to get a sense on where his head is?
Spoke with him the Friday before Easter. He was very upbeat, very enthusiastic.
Why?
Well, you know what? He's embracing the challenge, which is exactly what you would expect him to do. You know, again, you know, we talked about this the last time I was on the show, that I was interested to see what he would look like after he came back. Because early in the season, his body language was not the usual Jim Calhoun, and you realized because his body was hurting. When he came back, I thought he was very into it, very engaged emotionally into what was going on. And I thought, really, you just saw nothing to indicate that this guy was ready to stop coaching. So there's no doubt in my mind he'll be coaching next year and probably 2 more years. But so I think I don't think there's any question he has the energy to rebuild the program. But there's that again, the factors inherent with a 70-year-old coach, no matter how healthy he is, are what's going to be that has to be overcome.
How about this angle here, that if you're Jim Calhoun, you're selling, listen, this team may not be so bad next year as people think. You got the guards back there. You're getting this kid Omar Calhoun coming in, right? You got 2 returning guards. You can give their names. I mean, you got a really good, strong core of guards. Right? You have
guards, swing men. You're going to look for DeAndre Daniels, who did not have a good freshman year, to maybe bulk up a little bit.
Showed signs early, though, right?
Yeah, and maybe be able to play. Omar Calhoun could probably do some of the things that Lamb did.
Olander at center.
Olander at center. You could rotate a few people in there. Michael Bradley. It's not guaranteed, but it's not guaranteed that he's leaving.
Oh, really? Okay.
He could come back. So when you look at it. But the thing that they can really offer is to a lot, particularly as they have some scholarships open, a player who doesn't see himself as a one-and-done guy, like an Omar Calhoun, has an opportunity to come in, play a lot right away, develop in a low-pressure situation, and then really go after it in the next year. And they'll be able to recruit for 20.
That's not bad, because UConn will still, if you're a guy who's not a one-and-doner, but think you're a pro prospect, you know you're going to get attention still at UConn, right? And
you come in, you play right away. So there's a lot. There's still a lot there, and again,
hey, opportunities here.
Opportunities there, and we're you're looking at that. Getting that building built is going to help too if they
practice facility.
The practice facility. So going forward, again, it's going to be a rough year next year. It's going to be a difficult year, and there may be 2 or 3 difficult years coming up, perhaps. But it's not something that the idea that the whole program is going to just go away and be mediocre for the next 10 years. Not necessarily the case if you do the right things.
And Coach Calhoun is always good as the underdog, right? He likes that underdog role. When people think there's not much there, that's when he's at his best, it seems like, historically.
Well, he's one guy you don't write off.
All right. We'll see you again. Dom Amore, thanks to all our guests, Pete Higgins, Eric Crawford, and Dom. Don't forget, catch our show 24/7.